Big Z Reviews. Hi, my name is Brandon Zarzyczny, but you can call me Big Z, and today I'm doing a book review for the excellent new fantasy novel, The Will of the Many, by James Islington. And this is the first book I've read from him, but he had a previous series, the Lacanus trilogy, and I bought the first book, and the first book is on my to-be-read shelf, but I just never kind of got around to this. And then I saw a random TikTok on from a fantasy TikToker I follow, that it was talking about how new books if to try, and what caught my ear about this was he was saying that it's like, if you love magic schools, this would be the book for you. And I'm like, I love magic schools. And so I checked it out. It sounded really interesting. I picked it up and I read it, and it is amazing. I will say, though, that the cover is not great. Like, that cover does not scream fantasy, at all. It was the cover, I don't even know, it's a broken pillars. It doesn't really make much sense. Maybe a little bit, but but if you know about it, but I think to me it would make more sense to have pyramids or something. But there's a lot of pyramid stuff going on in the books. The whole world, the hierarchy, that is it's kind of a little bit like Roman Empire, but essentially it's it's they have this whole thing where it's a giant pyramid scheme, a giant magic pyramid scheme, and it's I love that idea of it. It reminded me of this funny scenes with Sly Son in Philadelphia and The Office.
Still not convinced? Well, guess what? The Invigoron system is also a pyramid scheme. What's a pyramid scheme, you ask?
It's basically a house of cards where the dickheads at the bottom do all the work and give all the money to the smart guys up at the top. All right, now
But basically that it's in this world they a lot of books. I don't know, because they try to mirror what happened in our world, whereas it takes place in the Dark Ages, the medieval time, and then they have some previous empire that fell, and there's a whole bunch of magic stuff that you could explore, the old ruins that they don't really know much about. But this one is interesting because this takes place 300 years after the Cataclysm. And that is when essentially 95% of all humanity died in an instance. And the only people that were left were children. And then this picks up, 300 years in the future. But then about 100 years ago, the Cataneans, the Catanean Empire, found these ruins, these stones that if you touched and prayed upon, you can seed and you can take willpower, and with this willpower you can do lots of stuff. You have the strength of 10 men. You're smarter, but you can imbue items with will. I found it kind of reminded me a little bit of Patrick Rothfuss, The Name of the Wind, Sympathy, where you link two things and move one, move the other. It's not exactly like that, but it's kind of similar. Where you see the first time you see someone using it is just she's lifting a giant slab, building a new pyramid, and using it just with her mind, just with the willpower that she's collected. And it's also, the biggest thing is, I found it really interesting, is that there's no other greater empire builder than this will that they have, because essentially their highest soldiers are super powerful, and they have X weapons that can do and they can there's some really crazy stuff with how a couple of times you'll see high powered will users just exploding people with their minds. I don't know if they're imbuing their skulls with will, and then it just red mist. Like the way that James Islington describes it is like really interesting. But the idea is that it is a giant pyramid scheme. So then once they have these slabs where you can if you can strap people to them, and it completely drains their will. But then for most people, for the common rabble, they'll like once they take over a country, they'll make all of the citizens touch this magical stones, and then they'll have to cede their will to like half of their will to a person ahead of them on the pyramid, and then that person, they generally have like 8 people ceding half of their will to that person. Then the next step of the pyramid will have 8 of those people ceding half of their collected will to them, and then the next one will have 8 of those people below ceding half of their collective will to the person above them. So it's really interesting how they did it, like how he describes right at the beginning, like before the book starts, he has like the Catanean rankings, and so so the lowest one is the octavus, and receives will from no one, and usually they have to cede half of their willpower to someone else, and that's essentially all these people that are ceding their will. It makes them so much less likely to want to rebel, to want to do anything other than just go on with their day, because they're like half of their willpower is gone. But then next you have the Septimus, and that's like 8 people. And then the Sextus, and that's 56 people. Then Quintus, 336 people. Then Quartus, 1,680 people. Then Tertius, 6,720 people. Then Demidus, 20,160 people. And Principes, 40,320 people. So when their highest ones, like they said, you only see I don't think you see a Demidus at one point in the book, and like you'll see our main character Vistelmus, he'll like describes how like almost the whole room kind of bends towards him, and like there's something like create like that much power like does something to the world, like it's like he. So like it's really interesting how it's described, and the whole book is all first person perspective. So like you're with Vistelmus like from the beginning to the end, and you're seeing the world with him, and he is a really interesting character because he is like so for him he is like an orphan, but he was orphaned like 3 years ago when like he was one of the last island nations that wasn't part of the Catanean Empire, like the last one that wouldn't cede to them. Like they came in, took over, murdered the royal family, and he is the prince, and he was able to sneak out. And now he's 17 now, and he's been like in an orphanage for 3 years, and he's like been working, and he's been like his back is scarred horribly from being whipped for refusing to go to the altar and cede his will to the nun or like the person that's running the orphanage. But the thing is, it's really interesting that like I wouldn't call him a Mary Sue, but he's had all the training of an elite prince. So he is already very smart, but he has a bunch of tutors. He's like the best at everything. But I like that James Islington also gives him flaws, because he has a horrible like anger streak. Like he'll like at different times in the book, like his anger will get him in trouble, and like a lot of times he'll like win fights he shouldn't win, or he'll do things he shouldn't, like that. But like it's so like you kind of understand why. Like so his character is really well written. I really like Vistelmus, and like but the whole idea is that like there's he comes under the eye of a person, Quintus, that he is part of the military pyramid. That's the whole thing. The Catanean Empire is like set up with 3 pyramids: military, religion, and governance, and they're like in charge of the whole empire. And essentially because now the whole world is being ruled by the Catanean Empire, there is no one for the military to conquer anymore. So there's starting to be strife within the empire between the different pyramids. And so that like the military, like there's this academy where all the young elite people, they go to and they learn everything they need to know before they're allowed to wield will. So like they have different things, like they have to be smart, and they have different like things that like will imbued items that they can manipulate, that teaches them kind of how to use will without using will. And but like they like this Quintus, he is looking for someone, an orphan that he could take in and train to kind of go in and as a mole, as like a spy for the military. But he also has his own reasons to do it, because his younger brother died mysteriously at this academy a couple years ago. So he wants to try to also figure out, like what happened to his brother, and what is the religion pyramid? Are they building? Did they find some weird weapon, and what's going on there? There's so much interesting stuff going on, all this intrigue, and like about the first half of the book is mostly like before he gets to the academy, and then the second half is at the academy. And the magic school stuff, it isn't like, that's like the big selling point. I heard a lot of people like talk about it, but like that is like, it's not the whole book. A lot of it is just the intrigue and the action. Like it's all this stuff going on. Like there are these people, there are these rebels that are trying to like overthrow the empire, or like they're terrorists essentially. But like there's multiple people trying to use this. Like they all have different like powers over him, that they know who he is, or they know, or they if he betrays them, he'll end up on the slab, giving all of his willpower to some asshole. But like the whole thing is this, like, because like I love the idea that like the empire is so big that he believes that there's no way to fight them. The only way he fights them is refusing to cede his will to anyone. Like that's his small power. That's his small act of disobedience. But like now when he goes to this academy, he has the potential to become like the Dominus, or whatever, like the whatever they call, like the number one ranked person at the academy at the end. Like that has a lot of power he could potentially have, that maybe he could do something, and there's so much different intrigue and a lot of like interesting characters. He meets friends and enemies at this academy, and I really loved it. It's an excellent book, and I can't wait to see where it goes after it. That's the one thing I wish, that there was more academy time. But really, like the academy is mainly as a way, like there's like the way they put it. Like I don't know if it exactly works. It's only like I think like 1 year, maybe a little bit more than 1 year, year and a half. There's like a trimester, and he misses their first semester. But then like each trimester was like 4 months long, and then like a month in between each one. But like he has to go in there, and he has to like rise up the ranks to the different schools. Like even the school, the academy, is like a pyramid, where like the most the lowest caste is are the bunch of them. And each one you go higher, it's like a pyramid. So like he has to rise each level, doing all different sort of things to do it. And I love it all, but at the same time, it's like, if this was a real academy, it may be so tough for actual people to move around at all, like, because there's only like a year. That doesn't exactly make sense. Like, it doesn't have like freshmen, sophomores, juniors, and seniors, But at the same time, it's not really. I don't think there's too focused on how the academy would actually work, and more as just a challenge for Vis to conquer, like to have like each, like the really get the book progressing as he goes through like each level of the academy. And I will say, like, because like at the end, like the academy part is over by the end of this book, so it'd be interesting to see how he structures the rest of the novels. But I don't know if this is probably going to be a trilogy. His first series, it was a Lacanus trilogy, so I assume this will probably be a trilogy as well. But like I'm really interested to see how he develops the story, because this I'm not going to spoil anything, but like how like what goes down is kind of crazy. And that's the one thing, like, I do love the idea that so many times that when in other books, when they have like a previous empire that was really magical, like they're like higher than, like they're like like, but they're like more sophisticated and more like noble than the current age. But like what you see, the bits you see of like when the old artifacts of the old things that the previous empire had, is fucking weird. And it's like really interestingly weird, and like, but it's almost, that's the one problem. Like sometimes some of the stuff was slightly tough to picture in my head. Like I got it, but it was like trying to, it's so crazy. It's like hard to imagine. But like so much of this stuff is so cool. Like even like it's a fancy, but they have these like pyramids that like this like obelisks or the monoliths that they act as two anchor points, and then they have like a pyramid, almost like a spaceship, like a mix between a spaceship and a high speed train that like essentially is powered by will. This like shoots across between the two anchor points, and that's how they've been able to conquer the world. But like when you see like all this stuff like what was this world like 300 years ago? Like they're all just like the stuff they find that allows them to use will was all built by this previous empire. But like this, who knows what other weird shit they had, and bits that you see like are just kind of crazy. And I can't wait to read what goes on in the next books. I would like highly recommend this. But I give like a 9.5 out of 10. Like I love The Will of the Many, and I'm gonna have to, while I wait for the next book, I'm gonna have to read the Lycanus trilogy, because I really liked James Islington's writings. Like his writing style was really interesting. I'm not usually like the biggest fan of first person perspective, but he wrote it really well, and I really loved the book. So thanks for watching. If you want to see more of me, you can subscribe down below. Thanks.